Hello, my name is Cesar Martinez, and today I'm doing my presentation on employee discipline. Today, there are multiple labor laws protecting employees from their employers. Handling discipline has to be done in a fair and straightforward method so everyone can understand it easily. When it comes to handling firing, handling or firing employees, employers have to be careful on how they handle the situation because with today's labor laws, former or current employees can sue the employer for unfair treatment and such. The old school methods of handling employees is long and over with. My sous chef and other older line cooks at work recount moments at the start of the career in which if two employees had issues with each other, the chef would just lock them in the walk-in with the lights off and have them resolve the problems. Or employees would have random brawls outside the kitchen before or after service. They also recount stories in how the chef would yell all types of inappropriate things or comments, or even throw things at them because basically, if you can think about it or imagine it, it was probably done at one point in time. Today, all that is completely frowned upon and should never be resorted to. Since the creation and enforcement of labor laws today, employees have to be careful on how they do things. When dealing with problems with an employee as a manager, one has to distinguish if the problem is performance or just plain old misconduct. When you know which one you're dealing with, you have different ways of handling the situation differently. When it comes to performance issues with the employee as a manager, you have to make sure his or her work is in poor quality or they are not producing enough to satisfy what they need to do. These problems can be justified as a reason to address the employee on their lack of integrity and not looking after the interests of the business success since they are not pulling their own weight. There can be many reasons why the person is falling behind. Either they have a slow work ethic or struggle with what work they have because they don't know or don't understand how to do it, or plainly just don't care. If they are generally struggling as a manager, you have the responsibility in teaching them on a better method of completing their task or help them develop their current skills into better so they could perform. The food service business is all about making other people do what you teach other people what you know, because as a whole a kitchen is dependent on each and every one of the cooks to pull their own weight to have a successful service, because if one person falls behind, everyone falls behind. If the coaching and teaching doesn't help, you might consider disciplinary actions or even termination of the employee, which is completely justified since he or she cannot do the work that has been asked of them to complete. To address disciplinary actions, the manager should look at the employee handbook and address the policy that has been created for the particular misconduct. Having these policies in place ensures that the employee cannot backlash at the employer because he or she had to sign off when they received a copy of their handbook, in which is in which they were probably asked to go over their policies to ensure that they know what they are so they can avoid doing them. Many chefs like to handle things internally in the kitchen before even considering writing employees up. Verbal comments will be often done to those who are struggling if they need help and such. As a good leader, the chef will have to know who's the weakest and who's the strongest so he could place the strongest with those who need the help to be successful. Because during service, one person can break the momentum and just make everything worse. If need be, the chefs do go into verbal warnings to make sure the employee understands that their work is starting to become a problem and they need to get their game together and strive to do better. When that doesn't work, when written offenses will more than likely be issued by the HR department since it is their job to handle the policies of the business. The HR employee becomes the third party that has nothing to do with the matter at hand and is there only to resolve the problem as best as it can be since the chef/manager can be biased since they work closely with the disgruntled employee. HR will then choose how they will correct the situation with the employee by either write-ups, suspensions, or even in drastic occasions firing. When having to sit down with the employee, it is also a good idea since many times things can be talked out and resolved. The environment and meeting area should be pretty non-confrontational, confrontational, but supportive. As a manager. You have to hear out what the employee has to say and then choose how you will react to what they are saying. Having HR present is also a good idea since the situation can become volatile. The key to successfully handling employee discipline is to properly notify the employee about their actions and how the company handles those situations. Treating employees fairly is also a good idea since you don't want to treat people differently. Having proper documentation on hand from HR and handling the misconduct immediately to prevent them from blowing up and causing bigger problems is also a good idea.